39th season, 2 legendary winners return to the game.
Survivor. Even when it's bad, it's still good, right? For almost every single Survivor season, and I want to go as far as to say basically 99% of all Survivor seasons fall into that category, as there's always parts that can be enjoyed in small portions. Take Survivor Caramoan for example. The second iteration of Fans vs Favorites is an awful season of Survivor, but during my video covering that season, I made sure to point out there were still amazing moments that make you freak out watching them, and yet, even though I absolutely love that Malcolm Idol plays, I still rank that season 3.0 out of 10. F tier. This season of Survivor is different. Survivor Island of the Idols did so many things right and set itself up as being another amazing season of Survivor, except for one key moment. If you haven't seen my other Survivor retrospective videos, then first of all, what are you doing? Go check out all my Survivor retrospective videos. There's a playlist in the description that has my videos starting all the way back at season 1. What I'm trying to get at is normally I rank the bottom tier seasons as seasons that I believe have maybe 1 or 2 standout moments, but are completely filled with and surrounded by utter trash. Survivor Island of the Idols is unique, as it's the complete opposite side of that coin. This is a season of Survivor that is filled with so much potential and so many amazing moments, but gets completely brought down because of a single member of the cast, and that cast member is of course Dan. Honestly, this has been a season that has been in the back of my head for a long time. I'm not sure there's a good way about discussing this season, but I'm going to be trying my best here today and more than happy to have a deeper conversation with you guys in the comments. The Dan situation really hurts this season, but what about everything else? The theme of the season is a little too overwhelming, and it really doesn't add anything to the season when our winner never ends up going to Island of the Idols. But there is so much else to enjoy with the season, especially in the early portions of the game. So the big question of today's video is, what am I going to rank this season of Survivor? And at the end of the day, trying to figure out what the Island of the Idols could have been if a few changes were made.
39 days, 20 people, 1 survivor.
There is tons of issues with Survivor Island of the Idols that make it difficult to make a retrospective on and rank from a narrative perspective, as it does so much right early on but ends up flopping in the process. We've already briefly touched on those reasons earlier in this video, but to get a better grasp on all the positives and negatives with this season, I think it needs to be broken down into different groups. And so in today's video, we're going to disregard a nice flowing product and instead jump around from point to point. This may seem weird right now, but it will allow us to gather a better understanding on this entire season. We are mainly going to focus on the theme itself, the actual positives of the season, along with everything to do with the Dan situation.
Is it this hard for you?
I vote you out and that's it.
Survivor works the best when the producers have faith in the players they choose to cast in the season and let them play the game. And it really is in the seasons where production doesn't have faith in the players where the season doesn't really come off as strongly. I think the best example of this is with Survivor Heroes vs Villains. It doesn't take a genius to understand that was a near perfect cast, and so production let the players dictate the entire game by minimizing the amount of interference they possibly could. To be fair though, that is a very extreme case, as this is a legendary season of Survivor that completely sells itself. But a more recent comparison would be with David vs Goliath, as once again the producers let the players control that game. Survivor works its best when it lets the players of the season shine, and not when it tries to force something that feels either cringy or gimmicky. And the theme of this season, unfortunately, just so happens to be both cringy and gimmicky at the same time. These over-the-top themes are used to bring viewers in during the first couple of episodes, and more than anything else, is used as a marketing tactic. And it is obvious from the very beginning that this is used as marketing for the season, as Rob and Sandra return as mentors for our castaways. At its purest form, the Island of the Idols is basically just Ghost Island 2.0, a season I refer to as being wasted potential, as I thought it was a brilliant concept that just wasn't executed properly. And it's a problem Survivors face in recent seasons with wanting to add more advantages into the game but not really being sure how to do it. The idea of Rob and Sandra mentoring the players is a cool idea, and having them be on the season but not playing the game is something that we had never seen before and was pretty cool. And when I first watched this season, I completely forgot about how long it had really been since we had last seen Rob play Survivor in Redemption Island. And going right back to the marketing component, this is really great planning to get people excited for Survivor Winners at War. The idea for the games the players had to play with Rob and Sandra were either really well done or extremely awkward. And I'll be honest, when it worked, I really thought it was fun. But the issue is that it was just so random and there was no consistency to it. This felt like the first time in Survivor history where the producers were forcing the players on what they could and could not say, as they had to lie about what the twist really was. So although it was a really cool concept, once again, the theme gets way too extreme and feels forced every time a player returns to their camp. And it continues to be a major issue of modern Survivor, with the episodes feeling way too rushed, jumping from one plot point to another.
Lauren seems to have a good grasp on all of her tribe mates.
This season was really setting itself up to be an amazing season, as we got one of the most interesting pre-merges in Survivor history, and that is all thanks to having 90% of the cast being top tier. When you look back at the boot list of the season, you really need to appreciate some of the amazing players we are given. I need more Jason Linden, Vince, Molly, and Ronnie in my life, and although Tom was a boring character, you need to give a shout out for him being the first Canadian onto Survivor. This is also probably the best time to start campaigning for Chelsea Walker to get invited back for Survivor Second Chances. It gave all the superfans hope that she finally made it onto the show, and sadly was the result of Missy catching a bad case of big move-itis far too early into the game. If there is one thing that this season of Survivor does really well, is that it gives me hope for the future of Survivor, as a large majority of this cast were amazing.
I love Applebee's. Applebee's is by far my favorite sit-down restaurant. Oh my God, yes. This is the biggest reward, and we are gonna get this.
It's now time we talk about, in brackets, the event that takes place this season. And I just hate how throughout the entire season, the producers choose to make it feel just like how I described it there, with a level of mystery and something that we just shouldn't talk about, even though we all knew what was going on. The show was in a difficult spot, and I don't think they knew exactly how to handle this. And I'm not saying I have the answers either, but this just didn't feel right. I want to start by saying that Kelly was 100% in the right here. She shouldn't need to say, yo, back off. But some people just don't have the understanding to know what they are doing is actually hurting someone else. But the thing is, right when Kelly said it was too much and she didn't like what Dan was doing, that was the end of it. And that's when it all should have stopped. Dan shouldn't have been doing any of these things in the first place, but the warning from Kelly should have saw the end to it right there. Everything after the warning was too much. So we can all agree Dan was completely in the wrong, and it was good he was ejected from the game. However, the producers should have taken quicker action. This gets extremely difficult when the game of Survivor and real life get meshed together. Survivor is all about social manipulation and doing what you can to lie and trick people. However, the major point that needs to be made is all the lying, cheating, and stealing is all part of the game. And the definition of game is a form of play with skill, strength, and luck. This works amazing as a game, but when real life and personal matters get involved, the game gets dirty and really unpleasant to watch. The producers went into panic mode and didn't know what to do. The game was broken this season, and Janet decided to hurt her chances in the game to protect real people. And Missy and Elizabeth crossed a line, but I also don't think it was fair for people to personally attack Missy and Elizabeth this season, as they were on the bottom and didn't know how badly the situation truly was. They crossed the line and thought it was in the realm of the game when it really wasn't, and that's why the season completely falls apart at the merge. A storyline had gone missing and everyone acted like nothing happened. Real life and the game got twisted and intertwined together.
When you pull off a blindside, like that inner part of you smiles because you're like, I'm playing Survivor.
Fourth person voted out. Chelsea.
Yeah, you wanted a blind side, you got you one.
This is a season of Survivor that started out strong, but ultimately falls completely flat in the second half for really good reason. It gives me hope for the future of Survivor with all the positive changes that have been made regarding inappropriate touching and diversity in the casting. However, it really sucks how we need to have moments like this to happen for those positive changes to take place. I don't like the point some people have made that they look for Survivor to simply be fun TV with no big real world moments, as I think it's really powerful to have moments like Jamal and Jack or Kelly discussing the girls' alliance. This is not a light season of Survivor by any means, and we haven't even touched on how Tommy won the season without winning any challenges, finding any idols, getting an advantage, competing in fire making, or even taking part in the Island of the Idols twist. Tommy was the winner of the season and didn't even go see Rob and Sandra. Well then, what the hell was even the point of the mentorship component in the first place? Tommy is an amazing old school Survivor winner, but at the same time a really boring Survivor winner. Shout out to Laura and Ashley Beck for following me on Instagram. I'm going to start posting on there more regularly, so you guys should check it out as well at RussellMuscleTV. My final rating for Survivor Island of the Idols is a 4.9 out of 10. F tier.